We're going to deep dive into Sam Altman, how he built OpenAI step by step, and more importantly, look through his eyes to see what the endgame of AI really looks like. Born in 1985 into a middle-class family, Altman was the eldest of four brothers. His father was a successful real estate broker, and his mother was a dermatologist. After entering Stanford University, Altman dropped out in his sophomore year to co-found a location-based social networking service called Looped with his boyfriend at the time. While Looped wasn't a massive commercial success, it earned a spot in the very first batch of Y Combinator, YC, in 2005, Silicon Valley's most prestigious startup incubator. Because of this, Paul Graham, the founder of YC and often called the godfather of startups, saw immense potential in Altman. Graham didn't just mentor him. He introduced Altman to the legendary Peter Thiel, the don of the PayPal mafia. Then, in 2011, Graham invited Altman to become a partner at YC. This gave Altman a unique privilege. For the next 7 years, 2011 to 2018, during the golden age of mobile app startups, Altman had what we call God mode access. He had a first-hand look at every top-tier early-stage project in Silicon Valley. In March 2012, just 1 month after selling Looped for $43.4 million, the shrewd Altman teamed up with Peter Thiel to launch his own venture capital fund. They focused specifically on companies that had been vetted by YC and were growing fast. With the backing of these two heavyweights, Altman rapidly consolidated his network and resources. The giants we know today, Stripe, Airbnb, Pinterest, Reddit, Asana, were all projects he invested in during this era. Beyond the money, he built a network of over 400 founders. These people were either his board partners, his YC alumni, or his close friends. It was this web of connections that gave him the leverage to move hundreds of billions in capital later on. Summer 2015. Altman organized a private dinner at the Rosewood Hotel on Sand Hill Road, the epicenter of venture capital. The guest list included Elon Musk, Stripe's Greg Brockman, and the most critical person at the table, Ilya, a senior research scientist at Google Brain. Make no mistake, this was a poaching dinner. How important was Ilya? First, he and his mentor, Geoffrey Hinton, published AlexNet, which kick-started the modern era of GPU-based deep learning. Second, he invented the sequence-to-sequence architecture that gave AI the ability to understand context. Third, he was a co-author of the AlphaGo paper. Over dinner, these titans discussed a terrifying premise. If Google monopolizes AGI, artificial general intelligence, it will be a disaster for humanity. We must build a non-profit, open laboratory to ensure AI technology belongs to everyone. But the plan hinged on Ilya. If he shook his head, everyone would just go home. This mission deeply resonated with Ilya, who was already worried about AI safety. When Google found out Ilya might leave, Larry Page, Google's founder, and Demis Hassabis, DeepMind's CEO, launched a frantic counteroffensive to keep him. But in the end, Musk used his personal relationship with Larry to drive a wedge. He told Ilya, "I know Larry Page well. I'm telling you, Google doesn't care about AI safety. Only we truly care. This isn't about money. It's about the survival of the human species." Ilya was convinced and joined OpenAI. Larry Page was furious, reportedly cutting ties with Musk forever. On December 11, 2015, OpenAI was officially born. 3 years after OpenAI was founded, Google's DeepMind began to dominate the world stage. AlphaGo defeated Korean Grandmaster Lee Sedol 4-1. and then crushed Chinese world champion Ke Jie 3-0. In Elon Musk's eyes, while OpenAI was making progress, they were lagging far behind Google. This made Musk extremely nervous. In February 2018, Musk told Altman and the other founders, "This isn't working. We are losing to Google. We need a drastic change." He proposed that he, Musk, should take over as CEO of OpenAI personally and merge OpenAI deeply with Tesla to leverage Tesla's hardware resources for acceleration. Altman and the other core members rejected this proposal. They didn't want OpenAI to become a subsidiary of Tesla, nor did they think Musk's management style suited a nonprofit. Rejected and angry, Musk dropped a bombshell. "Fine, I'm leaving. I'll build AI at Tesla myself." The most fatal blow? He cut off the continued funding he had originally promised, a commitment rumored to be $1 billion. By early 2019, Musk had only actually contributed about $45 million. On March 11, 2019, OpenAI announced the formation of a capped profit subsidiary and officially appointed Altman as CEO. To fill the massive funding hole left by Musk, the originally non-profit OpenAI formally began its commercial restructuring. AI burns cash like nothing else. OpenAI immediately raised $50 million in March, and then secured a massive $1 billion investment from Microsoft in July. However, a large portion of this $1 billion was in Azure compute credits, binding OpenAI to train its GPT-3 models exclusively on Microsoft's supercomputers. With the entry of big capital, internal decisions began to shift. The core technical team felt this change first. In early 2021, Dario Amodei, OpenAI's most senior research VP, worried that commercial interests were overriding AI safety. He took the lead engineer of GPT-3 and several core researchers and left to found Anthropic, now the third giant in the AI race. Ironically, 2 years later, Anthropic would also have to accept $4 billion from Amazon and billions more from Google. Then came November 30th, 2022. Altman simply tweeted, "Today we launched ChatGPT. Try it out here." No press conference, no press release, not even a heads up to the board. The result? 1 million users in 5 days. 100 million users in 2 months. ChatGPT became the fastest-growing consumer app in history, shattering records set by TikTok, 9 months, and Instagram, 2.5 years. Most terrifying of all for Mountain View, ChatGPT shook the foundation of Google's 20-year search monopoly. Tragically, as OpenAI's commercialization accelerated, the rift between Altman and Ilya, who joined to save humanity, grew wider. After a series of dramatic boardroom coups and internal power struggles, Ilya officially left OpenAI in May 2024 to start a company focused purely on safety. Looking back, OpenAI's success looks like they caught a lucky wave. But don't forget, Altman is the man with the God mode view. He knew long ago that AI isn't just a tool. AI is about to replace human labor. In fact, as early as April 2018, OpenAI officially published their definition of AGI. Highly autonomous systems that outperform humans at most economically valuable work. In other words, the essence of AGI is labor replacement. Just last month, OpenAI officially forecasted that by March 2028, an AI capable of independent research will be born. This means an AI that can form its own hypotheses, design its own experiments, analyze results, and produce new scientific discoveries. To verify if Altman is exaggerating, we looked at third-party data. METR, a research institute tracking AI autonomy, measures task difficulty by how long it takes a human to complete. Their latest tracking data shows that the GPT models released in late 2025 can already complete a 30-minute human task with an 80% success rate. Crucially, this capability boundary has been doubling every 7 months for the past 6 years. Following this trend, in about 3 to 4 years, we will have a model that can complete a 40-hour human project, an entire week's worth of work, with an 80% success rate. That is the level of a full-time human employee. This aligns perfectly with OpenAI's prediction of an AI researcher by March 2028. Now you know the endgame of this war. Whoever creates the first true AI employee gains the largest digital workforce in history. Furthermore, the first company to do this will immediately use those AI employees to research the next generation of AI, achieving recursive self-improvement. Competitors will never catch up. This is why OpenAI raises capital in astronomical figures, hundreds of billions, because they must win this race at any cost. Looking back, there is only one constraint left in this century-defining war. Where will the compute come from? Products can be iterated, ecosystems can be built, algorithms can be updated. But if you don't have the chips, you don't even have a seat at the table. This is why Altman is scouring the globe to buy up GPUs and build data centers. OpenAI is building the largest AI infrastructure in human history. And the bottleneck of compute is electricity. When you build a data center with millions of GPUs, the limit isn't money or chips. It's whether the local grid can support the load. Electricity accounts for 50% of a data center's operating cost. The price of power directly determines the cost of training a model. Ultimately, whoever controls the cost of chips and energy, making the AI employee cheaper than a human, will be the final winner. We can now see the full board of the AI world war. In the short term, it's a battle of product experience. In the medium term, it's a battle of ecosystems. In the long term, it's a battle of cost structures. This is why Altman invests in nuclear fusion, Helion, why Google builds its own TPU chips, and why everyone is rushing to build massive data centers. Will OpenAI succeed? Only time will tell. But one thing is certain. This war will change how every single one of us lives, and OpenAI is standing right in the eye of the storm.